it and the way you back it safely. So the basic control of your vehicle is what? The way you accelerate it, the way you steer it, stop it, and back it safely. Everybody got that?
Can you go over that one more time, please?
The list. You can screenshot this list right here. Right here. Accelerate, steer, stop, and back it safely. All right, backing safely. So when we backing the truck up, we should always start in the proper position, look at the path that we plan on going, use the mirrors on both sides of the truck, bag slow. You always want to bag slow. That way, if something go wrong, you could compensate and fix it. But if you bag fast and something go wrong, you're not going to be able to fix it in time. You're going to tear up some. All right, back and turn toward the driver's side whenever possible. That means you always want to back in a position where you can look out of your driver's side window and see where you're going, where the back of your trailer is and where you're about to back it to. All right, that's called sight side backing. All right, and use a helper whenever possible. Meaning, if you can get somebody to get out and see your blind spots, the areas you can't see, that will help you out. And two hand signals that you and your helper should have is when to stop and when to go. If y'all don't agree on no other hand side, those two hand sides y'all need to agree on: when to stop and when to go. All right. Shifting gears, manual transmissions, we double clutch. So if you ever drove a manual transmission in a car or something, you used to smash in the clutch once and come out of gear straight to the gear you're going. With a truck, we double clutch, meaning we clutch once to go to neutral, get off the clutch, then get back on it to go into the gear we go into. So to shift gears, we have to smash the clutch twice to go into gear, unless you just start driving for a while and know how to drive, you're going to learn how to float. But until you learn how to float at the DMV, the examiner is expecting you to double clutch. All right. And we're going to show you how to do that when you come to the yard. Automatic transmission, that's just simple. Hell, all you got to do is put it in drive and take off, reverse and back up. I mean, just like a car. All right. Retarders. Retarders are engine brakes. It can be electric, it can be exhaust, whatever it is using to slow you down. It's the engine slowing the truck down. So when you come off the throttle, let go off the accelerator, the truck, the jake brake or the retarder kicks in and it starts slowing the truck down. All right. So we use that in a low gear for when we're going down a mountain or the steep hill. So if we're going to come down the hill, you got to first go up it, mountain, whatever it is. You can't come down a mountain that you never climbed. All right. So as you're going up the mountain, you're 80,000 pounds, you're heavy. You're going to have to keep downshifting to get enough power to make it up that mountain, especially if you're heavy. All right. So say you got a 10-speed truck and you're in 10th gear and you start going up a mountain, you ain't going to make it up that mountain in no 10th gear. You're going to have to downshift to 9, maybe 8. You might have to keep downshifting all the way to 5th gear to get enough power to pull that heavy load up that mountain. I bet once you get to the mountain, the federal government say we need to downshift 1 gear lower than it took for us to climb it. So if I had to downshift to 5th to get up to the top of that mountain, once I get to that mountain, top of that mountain, I need to downshift to 4th gear before I go down the other side of that mountain and use that engine brake or that retarder. So that low gear I downshifted to and that engine brake is helping me slow down when I'm going down the mountain. That way, all I have to do is smash the service brake. The service brake is the brake that's on the floor that you smash with your foot. We call that the service brake. Every time you smash that service brake, every sporadically, it gives it time to cool. If you just ride the brakes like you do in your car, go down the mountain, just use the brake on the floor to control your speed to go down the mountain. Well, if you do that with a truck 80,000 pounds, them brakes gonna get hot because that truck is so heavy and them brakes gonna overheat. And once those brakes overheat, you're gonna get this thing we call brake fade and brake failure, which means your brakes are done faded out and you can smash the service brake all the way to the floor and that truck ain't gonna slow down. And you going down the mountain and you heavy. So you know you're building speed and you can't slow down. So that's why you see a lot of mountains, the Grapevine, the Cajon Pass, all of them have runaway ramps. If you ever came out of Victorville and you're going down the mountain, before you get to the DOT scales, you're going to see a runaway ramp. That's what that's for trucks who burn their brakes out. They can whip over there. They're usually filled with gravel, sand, or dirt. You pull into it and your tires sink into it and it slow you down to bring your truck to the stop because your brakes don't work. All right. And there's a fine for it too. So if you have to use it, you're going to get penalized because you ain't going to be able to get out. They're going to have to tow you out and they're going to fine you for it. All right. So that's what a retard is for. Is stop us from burning our brakes out by riding them going down steep hills. All right, let's see if y'all been listening. Why should you back towards the driver's side? Now, if you see some of these questions on here that's the same as the ones on your paper, if I were you, I'd write in the answer as we go over it. All right, why should you back toward the driver's side? Anybody know?
But I don't think I got that part, to be honest.
So you see what you're doing?
Yes, so you can see where you're going. So you can see where you're going. But I mean, we just went over these answers, so you still should know the answer. I don't care about you having the paper or not, you still should know it. So if you know it, when you do find the paper, you know the answer, right? Number two, if stopped on a hill, how can you start moving without rolling back? So that means if you stopped at a red light or a stop sign, but it's on a hill, how can you go forward without rolling back and crushing the car that's on your bumper? What you hold the brake until the clutch engage, right? So you hold the brake to the clutch engage. As soon as you feel the clutch engage, you let go of the brake, and then the truck will start pulling forward.
You hold the service brake though, right?
Huh?
Service brake, not emergency brake, right?
You can use either.
Your foot's on the pedal.
I don't know why in the book it tells them to do the emergency brake, but in real life you only use the service brake, right? You use the service brake. You keep your foot on the service brake, start coming off the clutch slowly till you feel that truck pulling like it want to go forward. When you feel it pulling like it want to go forward, then you take your foot off the brake and finish coming off of it. Do you do it like that, you will not roll back.
But the book says emergency?
Yeah, because if you push in the emergency brake, and then start coming off the clutch, then you got to push it back in. And when you push it back in, the air pressure has to build back up in the system, which you're going to be at a while before you, I don't know where they get that from.
So the answer on the test was emergency brake though. When
the answers to the test is just brake. You don't have to specify if it's service or emergency.
All right.
You hold the brake, period, until the clutch engages. You don't specify which brake it is. You just let them know you holding the brake until the clutch engages. Number three, when backing, why is it important to use a helper?
So you call your blind spots.
They can see your blind spots. That is correct. So they can see your blind spot. What is the most important hand signal you and your helper should agree on?
Stop.
When to stop and go.
Stop and go. That is correct. When to stop and when to go. What are the two special conditions where you should downshift? I just told y'all.
Going downhill?
No, you don't downshift going down no hill.
You go up.
Going up the hill and when you get to the top of the hill, remember? Going up the mountain and when you get to the top. Huh?
Oh, not on a turn.
Before the turn.
Yeah.
Was saying yes. Yes. Before a curve, before a turn, yes.
Pulling up to a red light, up ahead.
Or that just stopping, period. I mean, we talking about like slowing down, not coming to a complete stop. What two special conditions? Oh, number 6, when should you downshift an automatic transmission?
Never.
You don't.
Huh?
You don't, right?
Well, they talk about putting it in low or high. You can put it in low gear or high gear. So it's before you go downhill. The answer to that is before going downhill. Retarders keep you from skidding when the road is slippery. Is that true or false? Remember what a retard is for?
False.
That's false. That's right. Retarders is for slowing the truck down. It ain't got nothing to do with skidding. So yes, that is false. Yeah, that's false. Number 8, what are the two ways to know when to shift?
Engine RPM.
RPM, which is the tag meter, and what else? Speedometer. That's right, speedometer and tag meter. That's how you know when to shift, by how fast you're going and your RPMs. We teach y'all to shift at 15 RPMs. All right, but you'll learn that once you go to the yard. Seeing, so back here over here, the federal government says we as truck drivers should be looking 12 to 15 seconds. See it right here? 12 to 15 seconds ahead down the road. And the reason we're looking 12 to 15 seconds ahead is because we're looking for potential hazards. So that way we can prepare for them. I mean, to do what we need to do to prevent an accident. One of the two main things we should be looking for, looking 12 to 15 seconds ahead down the road, is stop and merging traffic, or turning traffic and merging traffic. Turning traffic and merging traffic. So when you see that on your permit test, that's the answer. You're looking for merging traffic and turning traffic. All right, mirrors. Mirrors are very important. Actually, they're your best friends. All right, you have a flat mirror, you have a convex mirror. Flat mirror is the long flat one, and convex is the square or the round one that's under it. All right, you got two sets of them on each side of your truck. The federal government says there is no such thing as a blind spot but one. They only give us one blind spot as truck drivers, and that's if somebody was tailgating you directly behind your trailer. If somebody was tailgating you directly behind your trailer, you will not see them. But if anybody's anywhere on the side of you, you will see them. So contrary to what you may heard truck drivers be talking about, oh, that person was in my blind spot. Well, that means your mirrors weren't adjusted, because if your mirrors are adjusted, you only have one blind spot. That's it. There's no blind spot on the side of a truck and trailer. Communication. So when you see that on your permit test, communication, the answer is, they're going to ask you, what is communication? Communication is signaling your intentions. Signaling your intentions. For example, if you driving down the street and a truck is in front of you and you see him turn his right turn signal on, what are you going to think? You're going to think he's either finna get in the right-hand lane or he's finna make a right-hand turn. If he put his left blinker on, same thing. Either he's finna get in the left lane or he's finna make a left turn. Okay, what if he hit his brakes? His brake lights on. That means he either slowing down or he finna stop. If he turned his four-way flashers on, that means there's a hazard up a road or there's a hazard with his vehicle. So he's probably going to be slowing down. So when you see any one of these lights, brake lights, turning lights, hazard lights, they're communicating to other drivers what the situation is. So signaling your intentions is communication. That's how we communicate with other vehicles, by our lights and our signals. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Cool. All right, controlling your speed. So the federal government came up with this equation. They said our perception distance plus our reaction distance plus our braking distance will equal our total stopping distance. So perception distance is when you perceive a hazard up ahead. Reaction, you're reacting to what you just saw. Braking, you got on your brakes because of what you saw, and it gave you your total stopping distance. Your total stopping distance is how long it took from the time you perceived it to that truck coming to a complete stop, is your total stopping distance. Why is this important? This is important because they want us to know as truck drivers that we should get on our brakes and start breaking those big trucks down way earlier than we would do in our own personal vehicles. So our pickup trucks, our cars, SUVs, motorcycles, whatever we drive. Trucks are different because we're so heavy, it takes us longer to stop. If you coming up to a red light and you try to wait till you get real close to the red light before you apply your brakes like you do in your car, that truck has a longer stopping distance. You'll probably end up in the middle of that intersection before that truck come to a complete stop, or maybe on the other side of the road before it comes to a stop. So we have to get on those brakes way earlier. A truck traveling at 55 miles per hour on a sunny, dry day, got on his brakes. It takes the length of a football field to bring that truck come to a complete stop if he's driving at 55 miles per hour or more. That's how long it takes to bring a fully loaded truck to a complete stop. So you see the stopping distance on a truck is very crucial. So us as truck drivers, because we're cognitive of this, we know that we got to start breaking this big bad boy down way early to bring it to a complete stop, so we don't rear end nobody or end up stopping in the middle of the intersection. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Federal government also says that we should have 3 emergency equipments in our vehicles at all time, and they can do an inspection on your truck to check to see if you have these things. Number one, you got to have a fire extinguisher rated for that vehicle. A fire extinguisher rated for that vehicle. Number two, you got to have 3 red bidirectional triangles. 3 red bidirectional triangles. And number 3, last but not least, you must have spare electrical fuses. You must have these as truck drivers in your truck at all times. Fire extinguisher, 3 red bidirectional triangles, and spare electrical fuses. You're going to see that on your test, and them the 3 answers they want. All right. Now, when it comes to those 3 red bidirectional triangles, you're going to see more questions on your test about it. They're going to ask you questions about if you broke down, where should you put those 3 triangles? Well, the answer to that is based on the type of road you break down on. So the federal government says if we break down on a divided highway, usually a divided highway is a multi-lane highway, meaning it's 2 or 3 lanes going in the same direction, then a divider, then 2 or 3 lanes going in the opposite direction, like the freeway and stuff like that, or major streets that have multiple lanes. Those mostly are divided highways. So if you break down on those type of highways, all 3 of your red bidirectional triangles go behind you. Like this diagram here is showing you, one at 10 feet, one at 100 feet, and the last one at 200 feet. So 10, 1, and 2 behind you on a divided highway. Well, if you break down on an undivided highway, that's a 2-lane highway, kind of like how the 138 is going to, what's that, Lancaster, somewhere like that, a 2-lane. So in that case, you have to put 1 triangle 100 feet in front of you, because you got oncoming traffic on this lane coming towards you. So you need to put 1 triangle in front of you 100 feet, and the other 2 go behind you at 10 feet and 100 feet. So on an undivided highway, 100 feet in front of you, the other 2 go behind you at 10 and 100. An obstructed view highway, an obstructed view means there's a hill or a curve, so that means there's a blind spot. So that means oncoming traffic won't see you until they get into the bend of this curve or they get to the top of this hill. And by then, it'll be too late. They're going to end up running into the back of your trailer. So the federal government said we need to set our triangles. The first one goes 100 feet in front of you, just like this one, but the other 2 go behind you at 10 feet and 500 feet. And the 500 feet one is the most important, because the 500 feet is warning the people in the blind spot who don't see you yet, because we must give ample warning that there's a stalled vehicle in that lane. If you don't give them ample warning and they come flying around this curve or this hill and end up going up under your trailer and decapitating themselves, you going to jail for vehicular homicide because you did not give ample warning that you were stalled in that lane. So that 500 feet triangle is the most important, because you must give ample warning, because this is a blind spot. They don't know you there. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. This diagram was just showing you what I was telling you earlier, that it takes the length of a football field to come to a complete stop. All right, slippery surface. It takes longer to stop, and it will be harder to turn without skidding when the road is slippery. Wet roads can double the stopping distance. You must drive slower to be able to stop in the same distance as you would on dry ground. Reduce your speed to 1/3, for example, slow to 55 to about 35. All right, when it's wet outside. So they want you to drop your distance 1/3 when the weather is bad, because your stopping distance is going to increase even more now because it's wet, snow, or whatever the conditions may be. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Speed on curves. For example, if you're on a freeway and your exit is coming up and your exit says this is your exit, but speed is 35 miles an hour on this exit ramp. Well, if it's saying that a little Corvette needs to slow down to 35 miles an hour to make this exit ramp, how much more should you? Most commercial trucks sit at 13 feet, 6 inches high. 13 feet, 6 inches high. So if a little Corvette that ain't probably sitting 2 to 3 feet off the ground, you at 13 feet, and it's saying that that little 3.5, 4 feet car needs to slow down to 35, you at a higher risk of rollover because you're sitting high. You got a higher center of gravity. So you would tilt over and roll over. Rollover is the #1 cause of truck drivers' deaths and accidents. Rollovers. Taking curves and turns too fast. Right? So slow down on curves. If it say 35, I'm doing 25. I'm dropping my truck 10 miles below what's posted on a sharp curve. Everybody got that?
Yes.
All right. All right. Pay attention to this. You're going to see 2 things on this list that you may see on your permit test. Know what black ice is and know what hydroplaning is. Black ice is a thin layer of clear ice. That's what makes it dangerous because the ice is so clear you can't see it. You can't even see it on the ground. Not until you hit it and you start sliding all over the place. That's called black ice. They ain't talking about the air freshener for your car. They talking about literal black ice. All right. And then hydroplaning. Hydroplaning is when water comes between the traction of your tires and the ground. So when water comes between the traction of your tires and the ground, you're hydroplaning, and that can cause your trailer to jackknife. Hydroplaning is one of the #1 causes of trailers jackknifing. Drivers driving too fast in the rain with an empty trailer, and that trailer starts swinging around and start coming around on them like a jackknife, closing in on them. All right. So slow down in the rain. See if y'all listening. How far ahead does the handbook say we should look?
200
to 15 seconds.
What is it? 12 to 15 seconds. Correcto. #2. What are 2 main things to look for ahead?
Merging and turning vehicle. And
That's it. Merging and turning traffic. Merging and turning traffic. All right, #3. What's your most important way to see the sides and the rear of your vehicle? Remember I said if they adjust it right?
Your
Side
mirrors.
Your mirrors. That is correct. Your mirrors are your best friend. #4. What does communicating mean in safe driving? We talked about that.
Signaling
Turn
your
signal, brake
intentions.
lights.
Signaling your intentions. That is correct. Signaling your intentions is communicating. #5. Where should your reflectors be placed when stopped on a divided highway?
10
100,
feet,
10, 100,
50 feet, 100
200.
feet.
Where? In front or back?
Behind.
Behind. In the rear. That's right. So they all go in the back, 10, 100, and 200. All right. Let's go. What 3 things add up to your total stopping distance?
Perception, reaction, braking.
That is correct. Perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance give you your total stopping distance. That is correct. #7. If you go twice as fast when your stopping distance, will your stopping distance increase by 2 or 4 times?
4 times.
That's right, because you're going twice as fast. That is correct. #8. Empty trucks have the best braking. True or false?
False.
That is false. Ain't no weight on your axles. It has the worst braking. Empty trucks take longer to stop. #9. What is hydroplaning?
When water comes between your tire and the ground.
When what comes between my tire and the ground?
Water.
water.
Water. That is correct. What is black ice? You better not say air freshener.
Thin layer, clear ice, usually on a bridge.
That's right. A thin layer of clear ice. The key is that word clear. Clear ice. That is right. All right, good job. Let's move on.
Hey, Kenneth, real quick, I didn't get that one with the 3 perceptions. Which question was that?
What do you mean?
I think it was before #8, I believe, or #7.
Braking. On braking.
What 3 things add up to your total stopping distance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance.
Okay, my bad. I didn't get that one.
Yeah, that's what that one is. All right. Space management. So this is talking about how much following distance should we have behind the vehicle in front of us. All right. So the federal government regulates that for us truck drivers based on the length of our vehicle and how fast we're traveling. The length of our vehicle and how fast we're traveling. So they said we should add 1 second of following distance based on every 10 feet of the length of our vehicle. So for example, if I'm in a, look at that first truck up there, it's a 40-foot truck. So 1 second to every 10 feet will be 4 seconds, right? Especially because he's at 40 miles per hour. 40 miles per hour is the benchmark. Anything less than at 40 miles or lower is whatever the length of the vehicle is. That's why this one's at 40 miles per hour. The truck is 40 feet long. His following distance is 4 seconds. But if this same truck sped up and started traveling at 45 or even 55 miles an hour, he will have to add another second, and this 4 will turn into 5. So if he goes over 40 miles an hour, he has to add 1 more second to the length of his vehicle, however long it is. For example, look at this truck. It's a 50-foot truck, but he's traveling above 40 miles an hour. So he has 6 seconds of following distance. Everybody see that? Because they're going to do this to you on your permit test. They're going to tell you the length of the truck. They're going to tell you how fast it's driving. And they're going to ask you, what should your following distance be? And it's based on how long you are and how fast you're traveling. So look at this low truck at the bottom. It's a 60-foot truck, but he's traveling under 40 miles per hour. So it's only 6 seconds. But if he sped up and went over 40 miles per hour to 42, 43, 55, 65, 75, he has to add another second, and it would be 7 seconds of following distance. Everybody got that?
I tried doing that on the freeway today. It's pretty hard to do.
What?
Keep those distances.
Because
when
people
driving on
going
the
to try to
freeway.
keep jumping in front of you, right?
Yeah,
It's easy to do on the highway. It's hard to do in the city limits. In
yeah.
the city limits is hard, yes. But
'Cause
once you
six
get
sec-
out of
6
city
seconds-
limits,
Yeah, 6 seconds is like 700, 800 feet, 900 feet. I mean, when you're doing 40, 50 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. I mean,
in front of you.
yeah, you keep a gap like that, somebody's gonna, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you got to remember, a lot of this stuff that they be telling us on here is in theory. We just got to give them the right answer so they can give us our
Yeah.
license.
No,
in
I
real
know.
life,
I was
we gonna drive
testing it
totally
out.
different.
I was testing it out today.
Yeah. All right. Another thing we got to start paying attention to as truck drivers, guys, is space overhead, space below. Space overhead talking about overpasses and stuff. That's why you see a lot of bridges and overpasses have height on them. You there say 14 feet, 15 feet, 16 feet, 12 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. Nevertheless, trucks sit at 13 feet, 6 inches. So that means we can't go under a bridge or overpass that's less than 14 feet. 14 feet is the lowest we can go. It has to be 14 feet or higher for us to safely go under it. If it's less than that, you finna turn that truck into a convertible and not on purpose. All right. So that means we can't go under these low clearance bridges. It has to be 14 feet or higher for us to safely go under it. And then you got to pay attention to ground clearance, because sometimes you're going to pull trailers that have low ground clearance, like cattle trailers, car haulers that haul cars, possum belly trailers. All these trailers, type of trailers, they have very low ground clearance, meaning they real close to the ground. You may have a foot off the ground or something like that. And if you go over raised railroad tracks or pull into somebody's driveway, they got a dip in their driveway, those trailers can get caught on those type of situations, and it can tear up your trailer. Or you can get stuck on a railroad track and you hear a train horn coming and you stuck on the track and can't get off of it. All right. So you've got to pay attention to that. Be cognitive of that. Right now, you don't think about it, but when you become a truck driver, these are things that affect us as truck drivers. All right. Look at this diagram. You got these 2 diagrams here. This first one, let's pay attention to this one. So you see this one that says jug handle. Incorrect, because it's illegal. It is illegal for this truck to swing over here into this oncoming traffic lane to make a right-hand turn. So he want to get ground clearance from this curve, so he swings over here to make this turn. That's illegal. We cannot do that as truck drivers. What they want us to do is button hooks. So it takes 2 lanes to complete any turn when you pull in a trailer behind you. So anytime you got a trailer behind you and you're a truck driver, you need 2 lanes to complete a turn. So that means you need to keep going straight till you get to the second lane. turn into the second lane and stay over here looking in your right mirror till you see your trailer tires clear this curve. Once you see your trailer tires are not going to hit this curve, then you can swing all the way over and get into your lane and keep going. The DMV examiner going to be sitting in this passenger seat watching this right mirror like a hawk every time you turn right. And what they're watching for is your trailer tires having any contact with this curve. If your tires rub against, brush, kiss, run over, go over this curve, that's an automatic failure. You just failed your test. All right, you just failed your driving test at the DMV. So you want to stay over here in this lane as long as you need to get your trailer safely around this curve, then swing over. Because the reason they don't want us to do jug handles, because they said if we swing over here, we're going to open up a big gap on the right side of our truck. And what's going to happen is people hate being behind truck drivers. So motorcycle, cars, and everybody else going to try to beat you in this right-hand turn. And what's going to happen is when you swing back around and come back over here, you're going to crush somebody between this curve and your trailer. See, these accidents happen all the time. Cars smash between the truck and trailer on the curve because they tried to beat it around the curve. So they don't want us to create a gap where cars can get there. They want us to keep it tight where a car can't fit between the curve and the right side of our truck. So that's why they don't want us swinging over here, making that big gap. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at this second diagram. All right, this means if you come to an intersection and there's a double turning lane, you come to an intersection and there's two turning lanes. I don't care if it's two right turning lanes or two left turning lanes. Truck drivers, we always have to turn from the outer lanes. We can never turn from the inner lane. We're supposed to always turn from the outer lanes. Because if you were in this lane, and cars was in this lane and y'all both turning, now you can't swing deep like you need to because these cars turning in that lane, and that means you're gonna have to cut short to turn into this lane. And what's gonna happen? Your trailer gonna tear up all the cars and stuff that's waiting to go through this intersection. Your trailer gonna smash everything waiting at this light. So that's why we always got to be in this outer lane, because we need all this space to get our trailer safely around this turn. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Move over laws are the same as they are when your car, you see highway patrol, somebody pulled over the lights over, we're supposed to merge into the other lane. If you can't merge into the other lane, you got to break your speed. Because if you continue past them in the regular rate of speed, you can get a ticket. And if you do it while the DMV examiner's in your truck, you just fail. All right. All right. We're going to talk about distracted drivers after we answer these questions. How do you find out how many seconds of following distance space you have? We just talked about that.
By the lack.
Length of the truck and the speed you're traveling. That is correct. That's how you come up with your following distance. Number two, if you're driving a 30-foot truck at 55 miles per hour, how many seconds of following distance should you have?
4 seconds.
4 seconds, because you're going over 40 miles an hour. That is correct.
Wait, what was your guys' question? I think mine was different. Can you repeat it one more time, please? I'm sorry about that.
I'm reading the questions off the book, not off your paper.
Oh, okay.
What I'm just saying is, if I go through some questions over here on this book that happen to be on your paper, then you can fill in the answer.
Yeah. Okay.
That paper ain't gonna match this here.
Okay.
How should you decrease? I mean, you should decrease your following distance if somebody was following you too closely. Is that true or false?
True.
Decrease your following distance? That's false. You never decrease your following distance. You can increase your following distance, but you never decrease your following distance. Remember, it's a law that we got to follow.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Number
meant that.
4. If you swing wide to the left before turning right, another driver may try to pass you on the right. Is that true or false?
True.
That is true. That is correct. That's why they don't want us doing it. Number 5, what is a hazard?
Accident.
Well, it can cause an accident eventually. Okay, so anything that can cause a potential harm or damage to you or others, anything that can harm you or others is a potential hazard.
Yeah.
Or if it can do damage to your vehicle or somebody else's vehicle, that's a potential hazard. All right. Number 6, why make emergency plans when you see a hazard? Really?
So that you don't become an accident.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a dumb question right there. Like, really? I'm just gonna see it and come drive right into it. All right. Distracted drivers. So there's 3 types of distractions. And we as truck drivers, we can't be found guilty of now one of these. Physical distraction, mental distraction, or both physical and mental. A physical distraction is anything that would take your hands off the steering wheel and your eyes off the road. That's a physical distraction. A mental distraction is something that takes your mind off the road. You daydreaming, or you in deep thought, or you worried about something, and you're not really cognitive and alert as you should be on the highway because you're in a deep thought. Now you mentally distracted. All right, both physical and mental is meaning you reading the text messages with bad news or email that some you don't like. You got your eyes off the road and your mind engaged in whatever you're doing. That's both physical and mental. And again, we as truck drivers, we cannot be engaged in now one of these type of distractions. That's why they want us to have hands-free devices like cell phones and things like that, Bluetooths in our ears, so that way we ain't got it. Because now all this new technology, they can read the text messages to you. You ain't got to pick up the phone. And you can respond back to your text messages without picking up your phone. A lot of these companies have onboard computers like tablets and stuff in the trucks, and they'll be sending you messages about your load. Well, you shouldn't read those messages. If you get a message from your boss, you need to pull over at a truck stop or a safe spot off the road, park the truck, and read the message. You shouldn't be reading the message while the truck is in motion. All right, everybody got that? A lot of these
Yeah.
companies now have cameras in these trucks, front and back outward facing cameras. So they can see, they can look at you dead in your face if you on your phone texting, they looking dead at you. Of course, we can't be texting while we're driving. The same rules about that apply to your car apply for trucks. All right, aggressive driving and road rage. You need to know the difference between the two. And yes, there is a difference between the two. An aggressive driver is the act of operating a motor vehicle in a selfish, bold, pushy manner without regard to the rights and the safety of others. So that's that rude person cutting you off, giving you the middle finger. They jumping from lane to lane. They impatient. So apparently, wherever they going, it's more important than everybody else in the world. Their business is top notch. Yours ain't. That's that aggressive driver. Just get out my way. I got where I'm going is more important. Now, road rage, on the other hand, is something totally different. Road rage is a person when they want to do physical harm to you or to your damage. They want to do physical harm to you or damage. They want to put them paws on you, all right, because you done pissed them off that bad. All right, that's road rage. So know the difference between aggressive driver and road rage. Night driving, you got to be careful with night driving because of night glare. So we got this thing called night glare. Glare can blind you. And then you got all these cats now, since LED lights that came out, everybody want LED lights for headlights. And sometimes them LED lights be too bright and it blind you, you can't see. All right. Remember we talked about looking 12 to 15 seconds down the road? Well, you can't look 12 to 15 seconds down the road at night because you can only see as far as your headlights will show you. So that means you should never drive no faster than you're able to stop within the range of your headlights, right? A lot of times at night, that's when all your critters come out. That's when the deers, the coyotes, everything want to cross the road at night. So you really got to be cautious at night. That's why when I was a truck driver, I didn't like driving at night. I drove during the day and I slept during the night when I was over the road. I didn't like night driving, all right, because I can't see them far, and that's when all the critters want to come out, okay? So you got to be careful with the night driving. What are some tips you can follow so you will not become distracted?
Some hand-free technology.
That's correct. Number 2, how do you use in-vehicle communications equipment cautiously? Remember I said you get a text message or email from your boss, what should you do?
Pull over.
Pull over.
Same place.
Yes.
Over.
Pull over at a truck stop, whatever, a rest area somewhere safe, and read the message. Don't do it while you're driving. Number 3, how do you recognize a distracted driver? How can you tell somebody distracted in their car?
Swerving, braking.
Yes, slowing, going fast, going slow, speeding, and all type of crazy stuff. That is correct. Number 4, what is the difference between an aggressive driver and road rage? We just talked about it.
One's just giving you the finger. But
A little more selfish,
Speeding,
Yeah.
cutting people off.
just trying to cut through.
The
What
other
about
one's-
the road rage person?
They
Want to cut you off and stop you and use their car maybe to cause an accident or maybe
They want to
go
do
in the car and-
physical harm to you or your
Physical
vehicle.
harm.
That's right. Physical harm to you or your vehicle. That's road rage. Number 5, what should you do when you're confronted with an aggressive driver?
Don't make eye contact, slow down.
That's right. And let them go on by their business. Because one thing about aggressive drivers, they always in a hurry. And if you slow down, you're gonna piss them off and they just gonna go. Because they always in a rush to go nowhere. Number 6, what are some things you can do to reduce your stress before and while you drive?
Get
Don't-
some
Don't smoke marijuana because you're in California. No.
Get plenty of sleep.
Exactly.
get some sleep
That's the
before
number
you
one
drive.
thing. Get some rest. Get some rest. All right. That's the number one answer they looking for. Get some rest. Fatigue. I'm gonna help you with fatigue. Fatigue is easy. Any question, now listen to me carefully, guys. Any question on your permit test when you go to the DMV, I don't care what that question is talking about, but if it's talking about fatigue, the only answer that the Highway Patrol and the federal government want to hear about a fatigued driver is you went to sleep. If you pick an answer and it don't require you pulling that truck over and going to sleep, I guarantee you done picked the wrong answer. You're going to get that one wrong. Because the only answer, any question that asking you about fatigue, any question on that permit test that's talking about fatigue, if the answer don't require you going to sleep, you done picked the wrong answer. I'm going to tell you a hint. That's the easy one. That's the only thing they want to hear. Ain't no 5-hour energy drink. Ain't no rolling down the window, let the air hit you. Ain't no getting out the truck, jogging around it 7 times like the walls of Jericho. No. The only thing gonna work is you pulling that truck over at the rest area, going in that back there in that bed and get some sleep. That's it. So if you pick any other answer that don't require you going to sleep, you done picked the wrong answer. I'm gonna tell you that now. Another thing about night driving you got to be aware of is the federal government want us to use our high beams as much as possible. Our high beams as much as possible. But we must cancel them. Listen to this because this will be on your test too. We must cancel them within 500 feet of oncoming traffic. We must cancel them within 500 feet of another vehicle. But if not, they want us always to use our high beams at night as much as possible, because they want us to have as much visibility as possible, unless there's another vehicle around within 500 feet. Everybody got that?
Yes.
All right. Driving in fog, they want us to slow down, use our 4-way flashers, avoid using our high beams, because when you're driving in fog, it's like you're driving in a cloud. And if you put your high beams on, you're going to, that light is just going to reflect off that cloud and you're going to blind everybody in the fog. All right. So they don't want us using our high beams. So that's why most trucks have fog lights on them. All right. So turn your fog lights on, your 4-way flashers, slow down. And they don't want us pulling over to the shoulder unless we have to in an extreme emergency. And the reason they don't want us pulling over on the shoulder when we're in the fog is in bad weather. Now, think about it. Any other time when it's sunny outside, everybody hates to be behind a truck driver. But when it's bad weather, everybody and their mama want to line up behind you. When it's snowing, fog, rain real bad, they don't pass you then. Everybody follows truck drivers because we so big, they want us to plow the way and they want to follow our lead. And so if you pull over to a shoulder, somebody gonna rear end you. They ain't gonna be paying attention. They're gonna run dead into the back of you, thinking you still moving, even though you parked on the side of the shoulder, because they can't see because they in the fog or real bad rain. So they don't want us to pull over on the shoulder unless we have to in an emergency in the fog. All right. Winter driving. So whenever you know you finna be in cold weather or you finna drive up north, say you down here picked up a load and you taking it up to Chicago or Detroit or Michigan somewhere, and it's snow and it's gonna be below zero cold. So that's winter weather driving. So you always want to make sure your truck before you go has proper coolant levels. All right, your heater and your defrost is working properly, your windshield wipers work properly, and you got plenty of washer fluid. Because in states where it rains snow a lot, they have salt trucks, and that salt turn ice and snow into slush. And cars and trucks will go by you and splash it up on your windshield. And if you just use your wipers, it's like smearing mud on there. You ain't gonna be able to see jack. So you're gonna need that washer fluid to wash your window to get that sludge off of there. Everybody got it? And then you
Yeah.
want to make sure your tires are properly inflated and has the proper tread depth. So for your front axle tires, the least they can go is 430 seconds. That's the lowest they can go, 430 seconds. All the rest of your tires on the back of your truck and on your trailer, the lowest they can go is 230 seconds. So your very front axle is the only axle that the lowest it can be is 430 seconds. All the rest of your axles behind you, all the way to the back of your trailer, the lowest they can go is 230 seconds. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Yes.
All righty. And some states require tire change. Me personally, I never use tire change. I always use tire change as my indicator to let me know I'm done for the day. So if I ever was driving snow and it got to the bed where they stopped putting up the signs talking about snow change, that's when I was looking for a rest area, truck stop to stop, because I'm done for the day. I ain't got time. First of all, if I got to put chains on my tires, that's telling me that I don't need to be driving because something ain't right. Right. So that was always my indicator. So whenever I never put chains on my tires because I always stopped driving when they were needed. I was done for the day. But some people, they like to drive and they like to take them risks. Me being in a mountain in the snow, that ain't a good combination to me. You start sliding down that other side of the mountain. When that truck starts sliding, you ain't gonna be able to control it. Trust and believe. I'm done driving for the day. Wet brakes. So this wet this wet brakes, it's not just talking about driving in heavy and rain. It's talking about going through standing still water. So when you drive through deep puddles of water, that puddles of water can accumulate oil, grease, and debris. So the federal government said we should apply our brakes gently enough to push the pad lining against the drum. And what that does is it keep that oil, grease, and debris rolling through that puddle out from getting between my drum and my lining, because if I don't, and that oil, grease, and debris gets between my pad lining and my drum, and I go to apply my brakes later, they can stick on one side and pull my truck in one direction, or they cannot have enough friction because of oil, and then I end up rear-ending somebody or skidding into the middle of an intersection or somewhere because I don't have enough friction. So to prevent all that, we apply our brakes gently whenever we drive through standing still water. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Hot weather driving. So if you're driving in extremely hot weather, it's the same kind of like driving in winter weather. On the other thing is heat, air expands in heat. So a lot of people think because air is going to expand the air in their tire, they should let some of the air out of the tire. And the answer is no. We never let air out of our tire because once that tire cools, you're going to be underinflated. All right, so we never let air out of our tires. So instead of doing that, what the federal government said we should do this right here. See, every 2 hours or every 100 miles, we need to pull over and check our tires. Every 2 hours or every 100 miles, we need to pull over and check our tires. And that's only in extreme hot weather. I would say like 95 degrees or higher. You need to pull over every 2 hours, every 100 miles to check your tires. Because trust me, believe it or not, tires will catch on fire in real hot weather. If that pavement is hot, that tire is hot, the sun is hot, and it's hot, you will see flames that just bust out of nowhere on your tire. And a fire extinguisher can't put out a tire fire. You'll think you'll put that fire out on one side of the fire, pop out on the other side of the tire. You'll spray that side, it'll jump over there. It'll play hide and go seek with you all day long. That's the worst fire to try to put out is a tire fire, because when you think it's out, it'll start right back up. All right, let's move on. You should use your low beams whenever you can. Now, this say low beams, not high beams. You should use your low beams whenever you can. True or false?
Repeat that again.
False.
That's true.
All
You look at all the new cars today have daytime running lights on them.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking at night.
Not remember that's why I said
Didn't
not
say
high
night.
beam,
Yeah.
not high beam, but low beam. All right. Number two, what should you do before you drive if you are drowsy? Y'all better get this right.
Get some
Go to
rest.
sleep.
If you would have said something else, I would have say log out now. Trucking ain't for you. Go to sleep. Number three, what effects can wet brakes cause, and how can you avoid these problems? We just talked about it.
Slipping
Slipping,
brakes,
sliding.
So how can we prevent it?
gently
Shoulder.
braking,
Lightly pressing the brakes.
gently
Yes,
braking.
gently apply your brakes when you're going through a puddle. That is correct. Number four, you should let the air out of hot tires so the pressure can go back to normal. True or false?
False.
That
False.
is false. That's right. You never let the air out of your tires. You can safely remove a radiator cap as long as the engine is not overheated. True or false?
Say false.
That's false. You take a hot radiator cap off and see what happens. I bet you won't do it again. So that is false. That is false. You got to watch these little trick questions about as long as it's not overheated. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, railroad crossing. Only two things you need to know about railroad crossing is this. Number one, know the difference between passive and active. The difference between passive and active is the passive track is the one that just got the sign that said railroad. It don't got the flashing light or the gate to block you. The active one is the one with the flashing light and the little gate come down where you can't go over the track. So the active has the gate, the passive one don't. And the second thing you need to know about railroad tracks is, remember we talked about early high raised railroad tracks. If you got a low ground clearance trailer, you can get stuck on them. So if you get stuck on a railroad track, you need to call 911 as soon as possible so they can get a hold to that train yard and try to get that train to come to a stop before it get to you so they can get you safely off that track.
And get out of the truck too, right?
Yeah, make that call away from the truck.
So passive has no lights. That's basically what we need to know.
What is it?
You said passive has no lights.
Yes, it just got a sign that said railroad crossing. It don't have no flashing light or no gate.
Okay.
The active one does. All right. We already talked about mountain driving. How you should downshift, one gear lower before you go down here, use the engine brake. And the reason we do that is because brake fade and brake failure right here. You see it? Brake fade and brake failure. So you're going to see a question on your permit test. They're going to ask you, what two things can cause brake fade and brake failure? And the answer is, we talked about one, overheating, getting your brakes too hot. But the second one is this, brakes out of adjustment. Brakes out of adjustment. So when you see this on your permit test, what two things causes brake fading and failure? Brakes overheating and brakes being out of adjustment. That's the answer. Brakes overheating and brakes being out of adjustment. They cause brake fading and failure. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All righty then. Let's keep going. Always keep both hands in the steering wheel. And that even when you take your permit test, I mean, not your permit test, your road test. When that DMV examiner take you on your road test and they send in that passenger seat and you trying to drive that truck like with the gangster lean back with one hand on the steering wheel like you in a Cadillac, you're going to fail. All right, because as long as you keep driving, they're gonna keep marking off points. As long as you're driving with one hand, both hands has to be on that steering wheel at all times. Only time you can have one hand on the steering wheel is when you shift. Once you shift gears, you have to go right back to two hands on the steering wheel, because two hands on the steering wheel gives you control in case of an emergency. Say somebody run out in front of your truck, you can control that truck better with two hands than one. So they want both hands on that steering wheel at all times. Only when you're shifting is when they allow you to take one hand off. Everybody got that?
Yes.
What factors determine your selection of a safe speed when going down a steep downgrade?
Going down one gear lower than you were going up.
Okay, that's true on what you should do. That's right, James. But the question they asking is, how do you know what gear you need to be in to go down, or what speed you need to be going at to go down a hill? Not the traffic. Okay, so you ever been on top of a mountain and got ready to go down the other side, and you see those little signs, and it show a picture of a truck going downhill, and they say 4%, 5%.
6%.
Yes,
Yeah.
the percentage. So how steep that hill is determines how fast you're going. The steeper it is, the slower you want to go. All right, because the more straight of a drop it is, and you at 80,000 pounds, you want to go down that mountain nice and slow. You ain't trying to fly down no mountain that's real steep and you heavy, because you ain't gonna be able to get on those brakes and stop that truck. It ain't gonna happen. So that's why they want you to down. And if they catch you going down the mountain, you're gonna see so many blue lights on you so fast, ready to pull you over, and they're gonna jack you fast because they know that's a recipe for disaster.
It's like 30 miles per hour coming down the Cajon Pass, right?
That's right. And that's what you better do. All right.
Right.
Why should you be in the proper gear before starting down? We already talked about that. Number 3, describe the proper braking technique when going down the long, steep downgrade. So it's 2 types of braking techniques we do. Anybody remember what those are?
Controlled and
brake.
stab
Control
braking.
braking. That's right. Why don't we do stab braking?
Because
There's a
it would
reason why we can't do stab braking. Huh?
just slide because of
No.
going fast.
Well, no, the reason we don't do stab braking is stab braking requires us to smash the brakes till they lock up, then release them, then lock them up again.
Oh, ABS
Can't
won't let
do
you.
that because we got exactly.
Yeah.
We got ABS units on our trucks, which prevent us from locking them up. So that's why we do control braking, because we can't do stab braking. All right. Number 4, what type of vehicles can get stuck on railroad highway crossing? We just talked about that.
Low boy trailers.
Low boy trailers, car
Yeah.
haulers, animal haulers, any trailer with a low ground clearance can get stuck on railroad crossings. Number 5, how long does it take a typical tractor trailer unit to clear double tracks? I'll give you a hint. It's the same as how far ahead you should be looking.
12, 15 seconds.
seconds. That is correct. That's how long it takes to cross multiple tracks that has more than one set of tracks on it. It takes 12 to 15 seconds. And that's talking about from the front of your truck to the rear of your trailer, clearing that whole track. This is what we were talking about earlier, control braking and stab braking. All right, we do the control braking because we can't do stab braking because of ABS. All right, the 3 ways to know that we having tire failure: sound, vibration, and feel. Sound like the bang from a blowout. Vibration, the steering wheel shaking. And feel, meaning it's hard to turn the steering wheel. All 3 of these are indications that you got tire problem. So you need to pull over at a safe spot and check your tires. All right. ABS, things you need to know about that. ABS is an acronym, stand for anti-lock braking systems. What is it for? ABS was created to prevent front end skids. It was created to prevent front end skids. If you look here, trucks and tractors with air brakes built on or after March 1st of 1997 were required to have ABS. So after March 1st, 1997, every truck and trailer with an air brake system had to have an ABS system on it. How do you know if your truck got ABS? When you turn the ignition on, you should get an ABS light come on your dash. It should blink and go out. That means it's working. If it blinked, then stay on. That means your ABS is malfunctioning. Do you still have normal brakes if your ABS malfunctions? Yes. I done drove a truck and trailer cross country before with ABS light on the whole way like a Christmas tree, but it don't matter. It's my brakes still worked. ABS only affects your brakes when you slam on them to lock them, to stop for an emergency. Something ran out in the road, you slam it, you run a risk of locking up your brakes. That's it. Your regular normal brakes still work. You can stop at red lights, stop signs, you can slow down, your brakes work. All right, so everybody understand those key points that you need to know about ABS.
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty. And we're going to talk about ABS again tomorrow on air brakes, and we're going to talk about ABS again on Wednesday on combination. ABS is on all 3 of them, so you're going to get a lot about ABS anyway. So these are some of the things that can cause your truck to skid out of control? Over braking, over steering, over accelerating, or driving too fast? All these four things contribute to your truck getting out of control. All right. Look at this diagram. Anytime you see a diagram on your test, pay attention to the word in front of it. So anytime you see jackknife, look at the word in front of it, because the word in front of it tells you who caused the jackknife. So this is say tractor jackknife. On Wednesday, when we do combination, we're going to see another diagram. It's going to say trailer jackknife. But this one is a tractor jackknife. So it means the truck caused this jackknife. So if you look at this arrow, how it's coming from the drive axles on the truck, and if you read the caption, it said the rear tractor wheels locked up. So when they locked up, they begin to slide to the left, which caused the trailer to start swinging around to the right, causing a jackknife. So the truck caused the jackknife because the drive wheels locked up on it. All right. So pay attention to the word in front of jackknife, because that's going to tell you what caused that jackknife. Stopping is not always the safest thing to do in an emergency. Is that true or false? That is true. Sometimes whipping on the shoulder or whipping into the left lane would be far better than locking up your brakes. Number two, what are some advantages of going to the right instead of the left around an obstacle? What's on your right?
Emergency lane.
That's right. Whip it on the shoulder. Because if you go to your left, that could be oncoming traffic or other like track cars in that lane. So sometimes whipping over the shoulder is more safer if it's a shoulder there. Now, sometimes you can be in certain areas where there ain't no shoulder. All right. Number three, what is an escape ramp? We talked about that before. When we
Somewhere for
had that one. Well, that ain't the answer you go put on your test.
An emergency ramp to stop your descent if you lose your brakes.
All right. It's an escape ramp where trucks go that lost their brakes to come to a stop. And that's what it's for.
And you'll get fined.
Yeah, that's right. Like I think last time I checked, it was like $1,500 for that. Number four, if a tire blows out, you should put on your brakes hard to stop quickly. Is that true or false?
False.
False.
It's false. If you blow a tire out, slamming on your brakes is the last thing you want to do, because all you're going to do is make a bad situation worse. All right. So no, yeah, that is false. Number five, how do you know if your vehicle has anti-lock brakes?
Has an indicator light
Where?
up on the dash.
On the dash,
Right.
ABS.
It's going to be an ABS light come on your dash. Excuse me, I'll take a drink of water. All right. Where we at? Number six. What is the proper braking technique when driving a vehicle with anti-lock brakes? Remember I said it's two type of brakings, but we only can do one?
Control and staff braking.
Control braking. That's right. We do control braking, not the staff. We do control braking. All right. Number seven. How do anti-lock brakes help you? Remember I said it was designed for a reason?
They keep the front wheels from locking up when you're braking.
Skid, front end skids. To
Front end
prevent
skid.
front end skids.
That-
To prevent front end skids. You got Christmas lights behind you, James?
Yeah.
You was getting early already, huh?
It ain't my doing, trust me. Got all
Women-
kinds of stuff out there.
Women get excited about the holidays, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
All right. Accident procedures. So there is a sequential order that the highway patrol want us truck drivers to follow if we ever get in an accident. And I mean, literally, they want us to follow it in this sequential order, because on your test, they're going to mix this order up and you're going to have to find the right way, the proper order it should be in. So if you get in an accident, the first thing they want you to do is protect the area. Number two, they want you to notify the authorities. Then three, then care for the injured. A lot of people think that should be first, but no, that's third. Number four, collect required information. Excuse me. And last but not least, report the accident. That is the proper sequential order they want you to follow if you get in an accident. Everybody got that? All right, fires. Only thing you need to know about fires for your permit test is how to use an extinguisher. And here it is right here. To extinguish the fire, here are the rules to follow. When using the extinguisher, stay far away from the fire as possible. And number two, aim at the source or the base of the fire, not up at the flame. Because if you put the base out, the flame will go away. All right, you put the base out, the flame will go away. And stay as far from the fire as you possibly can. And that's how you extinguish a fire. This is the answer they want you to put on their permit test, not your own way of putting out fires, stomping it with your foot or whatever you're going to say. No, this is what they want. Remember, we got to give them what they want so they can give you what you want, them license. We already talked about alcohol, remember, 0.04. If you have a blood BAC of more than 0.04, you consider under the influence when you have a commercial license. We can't have drugs in our trucks. We can't even have anything that causes drowsiness. You can't have NyQuil, none of that in a commercial truck. Bet you didn't know that, did you, huh? Nope.
I think you said an unopened bottle of alcohol too.
No alcohol, that's right, none. I don't care if the seal ain't even broke on it. It cannot be in there. So if you find a good deal on some alcohol, find the nearest post office, FedEx, UPS, DHL, or somewhere, and ship it home. Don't you put it in your truck. Ship it, and then it'll be at home for you when you get there. Because you'll mess around and lose your job over a bottle of liquor. You know, ain't even that serious. All right, hazardous material. The only two things you need to know on your permit test when it comes to hazardous material, because hazardous material is an endorsement. So they go deeper into that if you're going to get the endorsement. But just for your permit, you just need to know two things. Number one, can you haul hazardous material without the endorsement?
Oh.
You actually can if it's below a certain weight. But technically, you're right, no. Because, for example, you can have, say you work for a trucking company and y'all got a contract with Walmart, or say you work for Walmart. Walmart sometimes put bleach and ammonia and stuff on their trucks, but you don't have to have hazardous endorsement to haul it because there's not enough weight of it to require to be placarded. But if it's a hazmat load that you're going to pick up, and you don't have the endorsement, you're right, Jonathan, you cannot haul it. If you don't have the hazmat endorsement, you cannot haul a hazmat load at all. And the second thing you need to know is if you do haul it, you must have 4 placards. And this is a placard, these right here. You have to have 4 of these on all 4 sides of the trailer, the front of the trailer, the back of the trailer, and both sides of the trailer. So all 4 sides of your trailer must have one of these diamond-shaped placards, because this identifies to the emergency response team what you got in that trailer, just in case you incoherent. Say you knocked out because of an accident, so they can look at your placards and tell, oh, he hauling explosives, or no, he got some radioactive stuff, or no, he got some inhalation hazard. We need to get the gas mask out because we breathe this stuff in, or he got poison. So this let them know so they can get the right team out there to contain the situation. So you must have 4 placards on all 4 sides of that truck. That is the law if you hauling a hazmat load. Common medicines for colds can make you sleepy. Is that true or false?
True.
That's true. Coffee and a little fresh air will help a drinker sober up.
False.
That's false. I wish somebody would have said true. What is a hazmat placard?
Identification of the material you're carrying.
That's right. That's this right here. It identifies what you're hauling. That's right. Why are placards used? Remember I told you?
To identify whenever.
So it lets the emergency response team know what you're hauling in that trailer. Because technically they can't open the doors of your trailer and look back there. So they need to look at these and see what you got. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of section 2. I told y'all section 2 is long. So we got section 3. Section 3 is short like section 1 was. So we almost done. Excuse me. All right, section 3, transporting cargo. So just a few things in here, like I said, This section just pretty much dealing with making sure when you get a load that it's securely strapped down and balanced right and all that, so you can safely transport it up and down the highways of whatever city, state, or cross country, whatever you're doing. That's what we're talking about. So number one, let's look at this. You as the truck driver, when you go pick up a load from a shipper, you got to make sure it's loaded right. All right. So like, look at this one. You see this list over here, this column that says wrong, then you got a column that says right. Look at this trailer or truck right here under this flatbed. You saw how I got all the pallets on the drive axle? Then the one up under it ain't got nothing on the drive axle. They put all the freight on the tandem axle. That's a no-no. This is how it should be, so the weight can be evenly distributed to each axle. Okay? Look at this flatbed with the gangster lean. Would you pull off a yard with a trailer leaning like that? No, all your freight gonna slide off of it as you bounce and bump up your way down the road, hitting potholes and bumps. So you want it to be even. So you are responsible as the driver to make sure this stuff is right, because the shipper is responsible long as you're on that shipper yard. And that's where you find all your errors at. Because once you sign that paperwork and you drive off that yard and you drive onto a public street, and if the highway patrol, the blue lights get behind you and pulled you over, everything is on you now. Because the first thing the highway patrol gonna say is, why did you take this load then? So now it's on you. So you make sure that's all done before you leave that shipper. All right. Cargo tie downs. This is dealing with flatbeds. So anytime you pick up a load that's flatbed, they said whatever you put on the back of your flatbed, every 10 feet of it must have a strap. 10 feet strap, 10 feet strap, 10 feet strap. All right, that is the law. Now, if you say, well, what if I pick up a load ain't long at all? It's just like one little piece like this one little section here. So if it's small, then you still have to have a minimum of 2 straps on it, just in case one strap breaks. You got to have a minimum of 2 straps on it. But if it's long, every 10 feet must be strapped. You're going to see that on your permit test. Header boards is the front of the trailer, is reinforced steel. So like if you ever slam on your brakes and all your freight go flying forward, it prevents that freight from coming inside the truck and crushing you. The header board to protect you. Cargo covering. So that means those truck drivers that be having those deep beds back there, like dump trucks and wood, they be hauling wood chips or rocks, gravel, all that. And you're supposed to have a covering over it. Don't you hate when they don't and then rocks fly out and they crack the car windshield on your car and you be mad like, damn. Yeah. So because they need a covering over that. You're supposed to have cargo covering to protect the other cars and people on the road. All right, sealed containerized loads, that's for ports and the rail yards. This when you go to the train yards or to the San Pedro or Long Beach ports and get those containers off those ships. All right, they set them on chassis. And when they set them on chassis, you as a truck driver got to make sure that those containers are properly strapped down to those chassis. Because if they don't, and you turn a corner, those containers can roll off that chassis and fall over on somebody. So you're responsible for that. Special needs loads like dry bulk, those look like tankers. Hanging meat, those like meats on these big metal hooks so they can rock back and forth and cause your trailer to get off balance. Livestock, those animals are alive back there. Pigs, cows, horses, whatever you hauling back there, they're alive so they can move around. They can cause the trailer to get unbalanced. And then oversized loads, those ones had large farm equipment, modular homes, trailer homes, and stuff like that. Those trailers, all these type of loads require special care when you're hauling them. That's why they're called special need cargo, because you have to really be attentive to these type of loads when you're hauling them, because something can go wrong real fast with those type of loads. What else? Or projecting loads. So this is a flatbed. So you ever seen those trucks on the road and they have those orange flags sticking on the back or whatever they hauling back there? Well, the reason they do that is if you're hauling something on the back of your truck and it sticks out more than 4 feet, you're supposed to put an orange or red flag on it because it's considered a projecting load. All right, so anything that sticks out more than 4 feet past the back of your truck, you need to put an orange flag on it. And then last but not least, what's this? Piggyback trailers. So piggyback, you see these a lot with, you ever see those, what they call hot shot drivers. They be having the dually trucks and they be pulling those trailers, but they be pulling all type of stuff on it. They be pulling containers and whatever they can pick up to make some money.
Yeah.
All right. You got to make sure when you hauling those type of loads on those type of trailers that your load don't shift, topple over, or become unstable. Shift, topple over, or become unstable. All right. So you got to make sure they should properly secure it to your trailer. All right. Because if not, if something happened, that's on you. All right. Let me see. I think that's it. All right. So that's the end of it. Any questions about general knowledge that we covered tonight?
No, sir.
No, not needed.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all have it yet, but you should. I don't know if you have an Android or Apple phone, but you go to your app store, you need to download this app called the CDL Prep. CDL PREP. It's going to be well, if you got an Apple phone like me, it's going to be blue with a gray steering wheel. It's free, it don't cost no money, but it has all the tests on it: general knowledge, air brake, combination. It even has your endorsements on there. Has a hazmat, tanker, triples and doubles. All right, so it has practice mode and it has exam mode for each test. So tonight I want you to download that app and do general knowledge exam mode.
What was that called?
CDL Prep. CDL Prep. PREP. It's free. All right. I've been using it for years. If you pass, say you do general knowledge in exam mode, if you pass your test 4 times in a row with 85% or higher, you're going to pass it at the DMV. I have not yet had a student go to the DMV and fail who passed CDL Prep, each one of their tests, general knowledge, air brake, and combination. They pass each test 4 times in a row with 85% or higher. You're going to pass it at the DMV. I guarantee you. And you keep that app because if you want to go back in the future and add endorsements, like go back and go get your hazmat or tanker, all the endorsements test is on there too. You pass those endorsements 4 times in a row with 85% or higher, then you're ready to go to the DMV. The reason I have y'all do that is not for me. It's for you, because it lets you know if you're ready to go to the DMV and test or not. Because why would you go to the DMV, spend $87 to do all that, and you can't even pass an app on your phone? How you gonna pass it at the DMV? So if you can pass it 4 times in a row with 85% or higher on your phone on that app, you know you're going to pass it at the DMV. Like I said, I have not had a student yet tell me they went to the DMV and failed who have passed it 4 times in a row with 85% or higher. I guarantee you.
What was the test on us to take on the CDL Prep?
The general knowledge. Don't try to do air brake combination yet because we ain't done those yet. Just do the general knowledge tonight. So it's going to help you practice over what we done already.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, we're going to log in again, same time. The same login you used tonight, you're going to log in tomorrow at 6 o'clock, and we're going to do air brake. Tomorrow's air brake. Everybody got it? Any questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, so if y'all don't got any questions for me, I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 o'clock so we can do air brake. And then if you have any questions about that app, say you was doing that quiz, that app, and you came across some stuff that didn't make sense to you, write those questions down. And then tomorrow when we log on here, before we start air brake, I answer any questions you may have about general knowledge before we move on to air brake. No, we're going to wait till Wednesday night, our last night of school. And then we're going to go over all the questions together, and then we're going to send it in and be good to go. So we do it by Wednesday, and you ship it, turn it in Wednesday night. It takes 24 hours to process, so that'll be all day Thursday. So by Friday of this week, y'all will be ready to go to the DMV and take your permit test. You'll be clear in the system, rather, to go do it. You need what? Oh, yeah, before you go to the DMV to take your permit test, yeah, you got to have your DOT physical, yeah?
Hey, I met a great doctor down at TA truck stop off of the 10 freeway in Rancho Cucamonga. Cost
They
me
everywhere, man.
90 bucks.
Like I said, if you go on your phone and type in DOT physicals near me, man, you're going to see 100 of them pop up everywhere.
He was 90 bucks. Others were 175. He was 90 bucks.
Oh, yeah, that's a good deal right there. That's a good price. If you could get it for 90 bucks, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. The sooner the better. The sooner the better.
So I got a question about the classes.
Okay.
What's it called? You said our last day is Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Is that in the next 3 weeks or just this week?
Huh?
Because I was told that we'll be doing this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for 3 weeks.
No, ain't nobody told you that. I think you misunderstood them. Okay, so you got to take this class. It's the law. You got to take it. And then once you get your permit, all right, once you get your permit, then you have 2 weeks of training on the yard. So that's where you're going to learn your pre-trip skills of road. 2 weeks. If you come in every day, Monday through Thursday from 6:30 to 3, so that's 2 weeks of training. And then you have 3 chances at the DMV to pass your test. That is the procedure.
All right.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thank you for teaching us and telling us all this stuff.
Oh man, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. Sure. If we was gonna be in this class that long, when would you ever learn how to shift gears and stuff? You know, you gotta come to the yard, man. You gotta face me one day. You gotta see me face to face one day.
Right.
All right. Any other questions?
When you were talking about shifting this is not a question, it's a comment. But I never drove a manual of anything, so this is gonna be really exciting for me.
Yeah, and that's going to be more easier for me. It's more easy for me to teach somebody who never drove a manual than somebody who do, because people who drive manuals in their car, they got bad habits, and it's hard to break their habits when they get in that truck.
Right.
So you should not be any problem. If you do everything the way we tell you to do, you'll be okay.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
All right. Thank you, Ken.
All right,
Thank you, man.
All right. Have
All
a
right,
good one.
Kenneth. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
You too.